The great crystalline towers of Sarathia gleamed under the twin suns, casting fractured rainbows across the marble courtyards. To humans, the city was breathtaking, a world sculpted from light and artistry, but to Princess Elara of Sarathia, it was a gilded cage. She was the eldest daughter of Queen Marin, heir to the throne, and the most sought-after figure in interstellar diplomacy. Ever since the Terran fleets had arrived in their sleek steel ships, carrying promises of trade, alliances, and shared technologies, the pressure on Elara had grown unbearable. The Council wanted her to consider binding treaties through marriage. Marriage not to her own kind, but to a human. She detested the idea. "Humans are reckless," she once told her mother in the throne hall, her violet eyes blazing. "They expand like fire, consuming whatever lies in their path. To tether myself to one is to bring wildfire into our home." Her mother's expression was unreadable. "And yet fire warms as well as burns. You see only one side, my daughter. You must see both." But Elara was firm. She would not marry a human. Not now. Not ever. So, when the Earth delegation arrived for the Festival of Banners, Elara wore her most ceremonial robes, adorned in silver threads and jeweled cuffs, but she carried an invisible shield around her heart. That was when she saw him. Commander Adrian Hale, Earth's appointed representative, was nothing like the arrogant merchants or silver-tongued diplomats she had encountered before. He stood tall, his dark uniform simple, his expression calm but curious. When their eyes met across the grand hall, Elara felt an odd jolt, unwelcome, confusing, and infuriating. She turned away, reminding herself, "I will not be swayed by human eyes." Middle. The first days of the festival were a blur of ceremonies, trade displays, and endless banquets. Adrian was often at Elara's side, as the customs demanded hosts and guests be paired. He spoke little at first, but when he did, his words were precise and thoughtful. One night, during a starlight banquet, Adrian noticed her frustration as counselors pressed her with questions. "They speak of you as though you're a prize to be traded," he said softly when they finally slipped away from the crowd. Elara froze. Most humans were eager to flatter her or argue about politics. But he had seen through the charade. "You think I don't notice," he continued. "They parade you in front of us like a symbol. But you're more than that." Elara's lips parted slightly. Few had ever dared to speak to her that way, not even her own people. She quickly hardened her gaze. "Careful, Commander. Words like that can be mistaken for something else." "Then let them be mistaken," Adrian replied. Over the days, their conversations deepened. He spoke of Earth not in terms of conquest, but of scars, the wars, the mistakes, the lessons humanity had been forced to learn. He listened when she spoke of Sarathia's traditions, her people's reverence for harmony, their fear of losing themselves to outsiders. And slowly, the shield around her heart began to crack. One evening, as the suns dipped low and painted the horizon in hues of gold, Elara led Adrian to the Sky Gardens, a place few outsiders had ever seen. Giant blossoms opened only at twilight, releasing glowing motes into the air like drifting stars. Adrian stood in awe. "It's alive. Like walking inside a constellation." Elara found herself smiling, genuinely, freely. "When I was a child, I thought the flowers whispered, that they told secrets of the universe." "What do they say now?" he asked. Her smile faltered. "They tell me to be cautious. That one step toward you could undo everything I've sworn to protect." Adrian's gaze softened. "Then don't take a step. Let me take it instead." Her breath caught, and for the first time, she wondered if perhaps she had been wrong about humans. Not all but one. Yet not everyone approved. Rumors spread quickly through the crystal halls. Counselor Theres, an old rival of her mother, warned that Ilara was entangled with human ambition. Whispers of betrayal echoed in corridors. And then came the ultimatum. The council planned to vote on a binding alliance through her marriage. Either she chose a human or they would choose for her. Ilara stormed into Adrian's quarters that night, her face pale with fury. "They mean to make me a pawn," she hissed. "They would see me caged beside a stranger to bind two worlds." Adrian's jaw tightened. "And they think that stranger is me. Isn't it?" she demanded. His silence cut her deeper than she expected. Finally he said, "I didn't come here to chain you. If you never want this, Ilara, say the word. I'll step back no matter the cost." Her eyes burned with unshed tears. No human had ever offered her freedom before. No one had ever placed her choice above their ambition. And in that moment she realized. Her fear had not been of humans themselves, but of losing herself to them. And here was one man who would never let that happen. Climax. The night of the council vote arrived. The great hall thrummed with tension. Counselors argued, banners of both worlds hung high, and the queen sat in silent authority. When Ilara was summoned forward, every gaze fixed on her. "Princess Ilara," the chief counselor intoned, "will you accept the binding treaty with humanity through marriage?" Her heart thundered. For years, she had sworn she would never bow to such terms. She opened her mouth, ready to refuse, ready to ignite scandal, when her gaze fell on Adrian. He wasn't watching her with expectation. He wasn't urging her forward. His eyes held only patience, quiet strength, and something that both terrified and steadied her. Love. Ilara drew a breath. The hall hushed. "I once swore I would never marry a human," she began, her voice clear as crystal. "For I feared losing my people, my voice, my soul. But one man has shown me that humanity is not conquest, but choice. He has given me what no council, no treaty, no crown has ever given: freedom to decide my path." The counselors stirred, voices rising in confusion and protest. But Ilara raised her hand. "My answer is this. I will not marry for politics. I will not marry for power. But if ever I marry, it will be because I have chosen, not because I was commanded." Her words struck like lightning. Some counselors shouted in outrage, others gasped. But the queen smiled faintly, pride glimmering in her eyes. And when Ilara finally turned, her gaze met Adrian's. For the first time, she allowed herself to admit the truth. She had already chosen. Ending. In the weeks that followed, tension rippled between Sarathia and Earth, but slowly a new understanding formed. The council, though displeased, could not force the princess without risking rebellion among their own people. The treaty was renegotiated, not through marriage, but through mutual respect and cooperation. Ilara and Adrian spent more time together, no longer hidden in gardens or shadows, but walking openly side by side. Their bond grew not as ruler and emissary, but as two souls from different stars who had found common ground. One evening, under the blooming twilight flowers, Adrian finally reached for her hand. "You've given me your trust," he said quietly. "One day I hope you'll give me more. But only when you're ready." Ilara looked into his steady gaze, the same gaze that had undone her walls, her fears, her defiance. And for once, she didn't resist. She laced her fingers with his. "I once thought I could never love a human," she whispered.